I got hired at 61 with zero US employment history after being broke and driving Uber. Everyone said it's impossible at my age. Well, they were wrong. And what actually worked will probably surprise you because it had nothing to do with my resume. Picture this. I'm 60 years old, completely broke, living in Tennessee, and I've been an entrepreneur for 37 years. I had never been an employee in America, not once. My resume looked like a disaster. There were gaps everywhere, no corporate experience, and oh yes, I'm driving Uber to survive. When I told people I was looking for a job, they gave me that look. You know the one. Oh, honey, good luck with that. That look. So there I am, driving strangers around Knoxville, thinking this is absolute rock bottom. But something completely unexpected started happening in those Uber rides that would change everything. Every single passenger would hear my South African accent within the first 30 seconds, and the questions would start flowing. Where are you from? How long have you been here? What did you do before this? I remember this one ride that really shifted everything. I picked up this well-dressed businessman from the airport. By the time we're driving through downtown Knoxville toward his hotel, I've told him about moving here at 43, building a financial advisory practice, the divorce, chasing online business dreams, and losing everything. When we pulled up to his hotel, this man turns to me and says, Sophia, you're absolutely fascinating. Most people never have the courage to start over once, let alone multiple times. That comment hit me like a lightning bolt. Here I was thinking I was this pathetic failure driving Uber at 60, and this successful businessman saw my story as inspiring. But the real game changer was this regular passenger, Jennifer, a recruiting manager for a big consulting firm. She said, Sophia, you should be in management somewhere. You understand people on a level that's rare. Most of our hires are brilliant young people who need years of training to develop what you already have naturally. That's when I realized something profound. Those Uber conversations weren't just small talk. They were actually the best interview training I could have gotten. In a typical week, I was having meaningful conversations with maybe 20 to 30 different people. Without realizing it, I was getting a masterclass in human psychology and communication skills. When I finally saw a job posting for an account manager for a 401k administration company, I wasn't the same person who'd been desperately trying to make online courses work. I was someone who'd been having successful conversations with complete strangers for months. The interview felt exactly like an extended Uber ride. It was natural, conversational, comfortable. But here's the crucial difference. I interviewed them just as much as they interviewed me. I walked into that conference room and said, before we start, I'd love to understand what you're really looking for here. Tell me about your biggest challenges with this role. They explained they needed someone who could bring strong relationships with their financial advisor clients, who were middle-aged professionals who were getting frustrated with poor customer service. The hiring manager said, we've had incredibly bright young employees with finance degrees, but they struggle to connect with our advisor clients. Because these are established professionals in their 40s, 50s, and 60s who want to work with someone who understands their world. That's when I knew I had them. Instead of apologizing for being 60, I leaned into my age and experience. I said, you need someone who can immediately relate to your financial advisor clients, right? I've been exactly where they are. I felt that pressure. When a frustrated advisor calls me, I'm not going to read from a script. I'm going to understand exactly what they're going through because I've been there. I could literally see the shift in their faces. Suddenly, my age wasn't a liability. It was exactly the solution they needed. Here's what nobody tells you about interviewing after 60. Your age isn't the problem. Your shame about your age is the problem. When I walked into that interview, I wasn't trying to compete with 30-year-olds. I was offering something they couldn't: decades of real-world experience dealing with actual problems. I said to them, look, I'm not going to pretend I'm 35, but I'm also not going to apologize for being 60. You have a specific problem that requires someone who can immediately understand and relate to established financial advisors. That's not a training issue. That's an experience issue. Well, I got the job. I started exactly 1 week before COVID hit. Talk about perfect timing, right? But here's the best part. 2 years later, one of my clients liked working with me so much, they hired me away at 63. The CFO of this New York-based firm calls and says, Sophia, we want you to come work for us directly. We've been watching how you handle our account and solve our problems. We need that level of experience and emotional intelligence on our team. That's right. I got hired again in my 60s for the second time. Not because I pretended to be younger, but because I proved my value through actual results over time. So, what exactly worked? Here are 4 key strategies. First, practice conversations everywhere. Those Uber rides taught me how to tell my story naturally. You don't need to drive Uber, but you absolutely need to practice explaining your value out loud. Most people over 50 are rusty at talking about themselves professionally. Your conversational skills are like muscles. If you don't use them, you know what happens to muscles, right? It works the same way here. Second, interview them just as hard as they interview you. I ask tough questions like, what does success look like? What are your biggest challenges? When you're genuinely evaluating whether you want to work there, you're not desperate. You're being selective. And that changes the entire power dynamic. Third, position your experience as the perfect solution to their specific problem. Don't try to compete with younger candidates on their terms. Find roles where your decades of experience is the primary qualification, not just a nice to have. I wasn't trying to convince them I was as energetic as a 28-year-old. I was convincing them I was exactly what their frustrated middle-aged clients needed. Fourth, stop apologizing for your age and start leveraging it strategically. When I walked into that interview, I didn't say, I know I'm older, but... I said, here's why my experience is perfect for this challenge. Age becomes an advantage when you position it correctly. If you're over 50 and think no one will hire you, you're probably wrong. But you might be approaching it completely wrong. Look, I understand the fear. I felt all of that too. But there are companies desperately looking for people with your experience, with your maturity and your ability to handle complex situations without drama. If I can get hired at 61 with 0 recent corporate experience and a resume that looked like Swiss cheese, and then got hired again at 63, you can definitely get hired too. You just need the right approach and positioning. Your experience isn't a liability. It's your competitive advantage. You just need to know how to position it correctly. If you like this video, please hit the like button and subscribe for more videos on thriving after 50. And I will see you in the next one.